everyone. Welcome to the Cynthia Linox Show. I am your host, Cynthia Linox, here again to remind you that this is the best season of your life. Earlier this week, it occurred to me that repeating, I guess it's become a mantra. It's become some sort of an affirmation for myself. It just does something on the inside. And every situation that I encounter, I try to look for the good in it. But yesterday morning, we went to we had an appointment at 8 o'clock at this business location, and we got there at 8 o'clock, and there was another couple waiting again to see, I imagine, their CPA and so forth. So after checking in with the receptionist, this was a huge reception area. There were about 25 available seats where we could sit. But for some reason, it occurred to me to sit next to the couple. So it was her husband, herself, and then, there were some seats next to her. And actually, sitting next to her would be kind of an awkward because, there were so many seats available, and that would be somewhat invading someone's space or something like that. But it occurred to me to sit next to her. And so I sat, and she said, and she touched my hand, and she says, "I am so glad you sat next to me." And I'm like, of course, my pleasure. So we engaged. I sat here, and then Noel sat next to me, to my left, and so we engaged in this conversation, and I said yes, because it is the best season of your life. And she looked at me, and her husband was over there engaging in the conversation as well. He really wanted to get into it. And I said, yes, this is the best season of your life. And she looked at me and she says, well, when you reach 91 years old, just waking up makes it the best season of one's life. And I thought, wow. And she went on to share with me a little bit about their lives and so forth. And she said, and when we're done with this, we're going to go to celebrate. And no, I said, well, when you're done here, then you can go and celebrate. And she said, well, yes. And then her husband chimed in and said, well, yes, we're going to go to the vegetable market and get some fruits and vegetable. And that's the way we celebrate. I said, whatever makes you happy, that's what you do. But it was interesting because I was thinking, imagine that, 91 years old. 91 years old. And in my mind, it just flashed across my mind. I thought, gosh, first of all, to reach 91 is, a blessing. It's a privilege because not everyone, gets to live, I would say, sort of the last chapter of their lives, almost a centenarian. And so I said, I was thinking, I wonder what kind of life they lived. She was very, she was very upbeat and happy and engaging and just warm, And it's interesting because she was happy that I sat next to her, and I don't know what made me do that because there were so many available seats. Again, they were the only two there waiting, and then we came in, but I sat right next to her, and it made her happy. So I just start thinking, you know I'm assuming, because we didn't get into any kind of personal thing, but it seems like they have lived a good life because she was smiling, I was smiling, and she was so engaging, and so was her husband. And Noelle, of course, always engages, and it was just a beautiful, short moment until they were called to go see their CPA and so forth. But with all of that, I start thinking, you know, this season of your life, my life, what are we really doing? What are we really doing to make sure that when we reach that last chapter, and when I say the last chapter, I am implying up to centenarian, closer to 100 years old. Hopefully, we all get to become centenarians, but happy healthy centenarians. And that's another thing also. They got up, they stood up, and they walked over. They were not using any kind of assisted device or anything like that. And when they said that they were going to the uh, vegetable market, you know, I assume that they, are very mindful of their diet and nutrition and things of that nature, and do whatever it takes to maintain themselves nourished and healthy. But so I was thinking, what is it? What are we doing between now and then? For some people, you may, before you become a centenarian, you may have, 30 years. Some may have 20 years. Some may have 10 years. Some may have 40 years. The point is, whatever amount of time that you have to really make sure that you are living it out effectively, living it out purposefully, living it out meaningfully, so that you can enjoy whatever time you have left. Because as I shared before, we don't know how many birthdays we have left. But in saying all that, I have realized that so many people wait. They're waiting and 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 they're hoping, they're waiting, they're hoping, they're believing, waiting, hoping, believing, waiting, and just waiting. And I am here to tell you, my friend, that one of the things that we don't pay attention to is the power within you. You're not just an ordinary person, you are an extraordinary human being with power to create. So I want to encourage you to become the architect of your life. Think about it in that way. Become the architect of your life. No one else. You are the architect. And what does an architect does? An architect designs. So just imagine you're building a house, you've got the land, and you decide what kind of house you want to live in and how you're going to design it and so forth. So you have the house. Keep in mind, you are the architect. And let's assume you have 7, 8 rooms. And then you have the other, public areas, kitchen, living room, and so forth, dining room, and so forth. But let's assume you have 8 bedrooms. Now, you're going to pay attention to 8 different designs so that you can create the best rooms for your house. So just make an analogy with this. It is your house, which is yourself, and you are designing the rooms in your house. That means you're putting some serious attention to each room, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, physically, professionally, socially, all those different areas you need to focus your attention to so that you can become whole as you as you go through this journey of self discovery. And I want to encourage you. I shared before how your words are energy. Every word that you speak is energy. And as you speak these words are creating your situation. These words are creating your circumstances, your situation, sending people your way, and things like that. So be very mindful, very conscious of your words. Don't speak words, don't say things that you really don't mean. I was talking to someone this week and we were talking about being happy and just really enjoying life and so forth. And this person flat out said to me, "Oh, I enjoy myself. I'm enjoying myself by myself. I don't need anyone else to be with me. I'm really enjoying myself. And in my mind, I'm thinking that's not what was shared, before. So when this person speaks, when you speak that, what you're saying to the universe, what you're sending out, the energy that you're sending out is that it doesn't matter. I don't, I'm good. I'm good by myself. So there will be no effort. There will be no attraction. There will be no manifestation of an amazing partner that would come to meet you and love you and engage with you and really appreciate sharing time with you. That just won't happen. Why? Because you have already instructed, you have already sent out your energy saying, I don't need this. Now, if that's the truth, then that's fine. But then on the other hand, you don't want to, on some occasions say, well, I would really like to have uh, a partner to share life with because it's beautiful. And you're hearing a lot of that on social media, and people are saying that, and it's just not true. Now, you can have a partner, you can have different kind of arrangements. You can have different kind of arrangements in your own, whatever works for you, because you're the one that decides that, not tradition, not society, not none of that. You decide what kind of arrangements you want, if you choose to share your life with someone else. So don't let your words be idle, because idle words really they still carry energy. So speak the things you desire, speak the things you want to happen, speak your wish, your desire, your hope, your dreams, your longing. Be authentic. That's the whole thing about being authentic. Some people, and what I have learned for myself, that in being authentic, you have to make yourself vulnerable. And most people don't like to be vulnerable because it's like putting yourself out there. But be authentic, because you know what? If I was talking to another person this week as well, and she said, well, if you have any friends, any single friends, make sure you keep me in mind. And I thought, wow, that is so great, because I for that person, I was not thinking in those terms, because that is a successful businesswoman engaged in buying and selling real estate, and just really a very successful woman. And she said, we were talking for a long time, and she said, yes, it's beautiful. And if you have any, and so, I mentioned, a couple names, or send her a couple pictures and things of that nature. And but she was vulnerable. But she sent out information to me and to the universe. And if she is ready, then it will show up. That's the thing. You don't have to go looking. You will attract. You don't have to go looking. You will attract. You've got to be real careful about the people that you let into your life. You have to be. The thing is this: you are now an adult. And in going through your journey, what you have to realize is that the things that you learn when you were younger, or the way you were brought up, or in the traditional setting, or the indoctrination you have had, and things of that, you are a different person. You are a different person. More than likely, you have had children. That's a whole experience in itself. You may have traveled the world and see other cultures and how people live. You may have had experiences that are, exciting, or experiences that have really turned your life around, having to deal with grief and things of that. You are a totally different person. So if you have had all these different experiences, why is it that you will succumb and allow yourself to to follow the teachings you've had when you were a child. When you were a child, you have changed, you have grown up, you've left the nest, and you are an adult. It's time to start making adult decisions. It is time to start making adult decisions as an adult. Now, you have to align, you take into account your experiences, your feelings, your emotions, the things you have gone through, and all the, you're at work with other people, family members, friends, your spouse, your children. You take all of that and you start building on the new person that you are. You can't carry the old to create the new. No, the old, that's past. All these thoughts, when one door is closed, another's open. No, you build the damn door. You build a door. Build your own door. Build your own door, and don't force any doors to open for you. Build the door and walk in, because you've got power. You've got influence. You've got power. You just don't think in those terms. Don't wait for things to happen. Make things happen. Create your own opportunities. And a lot of it has to do with people getting in our way. You have to be mindful of who you give access to in your life. At this point in your life, you don't have time to, you know, fool around. Not in this journey, not in this season. It's all about you. So you have to be mindful of the people that you allow access. Some people will have full access to you, others will have limited access to you, and others access denied unapologetically. And again, you don't have to go around giving explanation or making excuses or trying to defend your position or explain why you no. Some people have full access and they know who they are. They know who they are, and when they can show up in your life or give you a call or say, come on over, let's get together, let's have a glass of wine, let's do this, let's do that. And you get together and you share your heart, and that person has full access. And then there are those that you enjoy their company socially. They may invite you to a situation, but you have to make sure that you're welcome, and vice versa. They have limited access. Why? Because there's no level of trust, or you're not familiar enough, you're not close enough, or you may have learned something about that person which you don't really care for. There are people in my life who have limited access. And then there's some access denied. Period. You've got to pay attention to that, my friend. Who has access? Full access. Who has limited access? And you determine that. And whether it's family members or friends, because not all relatives are family. This can be such a touchy subject, because and of course, if you're close with your family, that's great. That's some families are like triplets. They're so close, and it's a beautiful relationship. But not all families are like that. And some are superficial, and some pretend, and some only come together when there's a tragedy or something or whatever. Someone wins the lottery, then everybody shows up or whatever. The point is, You determine the person, because, as I always say, people are people, whether they're relatives, family, friends, associates, colleagues. People are just people with personalities. They are individuals. So the fact that somebody is a relative, it doesn't mean that they automatically have full access. Absolutely not. Why? We may have, we're, yeah, relative, but we may not have cultivated a relationship where there's trust, or, where there's that energy or that vibe that we, because, you don't vibe with all members of your family. You may, but that's not the norm. And you have to see it for what it is, because if you don't see it for what it is, then you will follow tradition. Like, you hear people say, family first. That may be true for some, but given a situation, then you realize how first that family is. It's all cliches. Family comes first. That's great and it's good. But if it doesn't apply to you, you have to see it for what it is, in order not only to protect yourself, but in order to navigate your life without, without the drama, without interruption, without the, this thing, with people getting in your way and so forth. And you have to determine that. You have to determine that for yourself. You have to determine that for yourself. So you need to create access by design. That's so important. Create access by design. And one person that has full access today may fall into another category. Pay attention. Everything that you do, make it intentional, meaningful, purposeful. Everything that you do, be mindful. And even at work, when I worked in corporate America for 26 amazing years, and I love what I did and so forth. But when I decided to, when I refired, not retired, refired, when I decided I wanted to do something else, and refired my whole life into doing this, a life coach, and then now a television show. Um, I thought, oh my gosh, I've worked in this organization for 26 years, and there is not one person that I have cultivated a close knit relationship with, that we can say, oh, come over and have a glass of it. Not one person, not one. Now, I have a lot of acquaintances, people that I like dearly, people that I can pick up the phone and say, hey, just checking on you. How are you doing? And so, but as far as, let's meet for lunch or whatever, that just didn't happen. For some reason, I just maintained my personal life separate in corporate America. Business wise, everything was great. And once I was there, once in a while we would say, okay, let's go out and, have a glass of wine after work or something like that. That happened very, very seldom, just because schedules and so forth. But yeah, I just did not cultivate any relationship. And it's not like I missed it, because I've always had my personal separate, my personal friends separate, that I, whose companies uh, I enjoy and so forth. So uh, not everyone had access. Not everyone had access to me, to my, into my personal life. That just didn't work for me. I just did not allow myself to go there. I went to work, did my job. Any downtime, yes, I had good relationships with everyone. But as far as a personal buddy, that just didn't happen. I shared many hours with people that I like. And I remember when back in '08, with all this whole new stuff politically, we were, I learned a lot of stuff from people's uh, ideas about politics and so forth. That was a great time because I really learned a lot. My culture is totally different, so I, allowed myself to learn from here in the U.S. one-on-one cultural situation. And but not everyone has access. I just did not grant access to anyone. I protect that. So, and if I go someplace and I don't feel a kind of energy or whatever, I am so sensitive to that. And you should become, because you see, if you don't design your life the way you want to, you will just continue to live by osmosis, by default, by traditional values. Some of the things of tradition no longer applies to you today. Why? Because you are a new person. You are a brand new person. You are now an adult. You are an adult with a mind of your own. Before, your mind was conditioned. No one escaped that. Your mind was conditioned because, again, by the time you reach 5 years old, you're told this, and your mind is conditioned through fear, reward, and punishment. And that happens by our parents. It happens, our teachers, religious, you're conditioned. So now that you are an adult, you have to face it the way it is and know that you are responsible for you. You are responsible for your life. You create opportunities. I cannot even begin to articulate and share with you how many situations that comes upon me, like, it's like I said to my husband, oh my gosh, I wasn't even looking for that, but this happened this week. I went to a social meeting. It was really fantastic, and the connections that I made was really interesting. And I'm waiting for things to happen, and people follow up. I really enjoyed it. But the way it happened, the way it came about, it wasn't something that I was looking for. Desires I had in my mind, but I don't seek to know how it's going to happen. All I know is that if I want this to happen and I start to think about it, it will show up through people that you don't even imagine. And the same will happen for you. The same will happen for you. You're an adult, my friend. Start thinking in those terms. As an adult, we make decisions for ourselves. We make decisions for ourselves, and we open doors for ourselves. And if there are no doors to open, then you build one. You build a door so that you can walk in. You build a door. You create opportunities for yourself. Why? Because you have the power to create. So many people don't really think about that, or they just take it lightly, or they think that's for someone else. It's for you. You have the power to create. And how? We already know how that works. It starts by the database that you have, the database that you have in your mind. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to, there are some people that think that life is what they have, what they experience. Life is simply what they have, the cultural construct in their uh, community, in their city, in their country, and that's the way life is. No, life is not that way. As a matter of fact, living living in the US, and I at this point live in the United States, life is so restricted in so many ways that when you go abroad, you say, oh my gosh, such freedom, such freedom, to do this, to do that, to think this way without the constraint of rules and laws and regulations. And I personally know that I was not created to live a life with restrictions. That's not for me. That's why, that's why for me, I had to leave church, religion, religious doctrine, and all of that. It's it's too restricted. It is restricted. And the people that are in that circle, that is all they talk about. Unless you have traveled and so forth. But that and when I was in that circle, that's pretty much all you talk about. That is your focus because there's this whole drive about working for a purpose, the kingdom, and so forth. It's just a whole different dynamics. And I know that I just did not want to live a life of restrictions. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't go here, you can't go there, you can't do this, you can't do that. I just, you can't, mix with these kind of people. You can't, that just didn't work for me. And I did it for many years, but it just doesn't work. So the life that you live here, that's not all there is. And when I say travel, you don't have to, you don't, if you're not ready to get on a plane and travel and discover the world, you can do that. And, today we have the internet. Get on YouTube and look up a country and learn, cultures and communities and customs and habits and things of that nature. You can really submit yourself to learn other cultures without leaving where you are. Expand your mind and be curious. But the whole thing, I mean, if you are okay where you're at, living under the traditions and the conformity of the social construct in your community, then that's fine. But if you are looking for something else, if you start discovering, wait a minute, I am, now I make decisions for me. Look at the next generation. Don't you see they are, the next generation, they just have a different mindset. They are out there, and they have their way of expressing themselves, with facial rings and tattoos, and they are saying, this is me and this is what I want to do. And for us, that's in this totally different season of our lives. We just continue to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And I go back to this thing about access because access has to do also with the thought of, or worry of, what would people think. And when you submit to that type of intimidation or worry, you are putting that person on the throne of your life, or those people. You're putting them on the throne of your life when you are the one that should govern everything that pertains to you, and not worry, because the people that are talking or whatever, they're doing nothing. Because if you're busy with your own jam, if you're busy with your own life, you don't really have time to be criticizing or talking about someone, or telling them what they should do, or gossiping about them and whatever. And as a matter of fact, how vulnerable, when you are, again, doing things for yourself, how vulnerable and how susceptible you are to the unknown. So you stay in your lane, and it really gives you that, it gives you the motivation to encourage another, to admire another, and to really support another person. When I mentioned earlier, or at some point, that I listen to a lot of podcasts, and And I enjoy podcasts because you learn different perspective from different people. And when I do, if I can leave a comment that's uh, something encouraging that would motivate somebody or tell them how great they're doing. I listened to one yesterday, and I said, thank you for your excellent share, because it was just excellent. And it makes you feel good to do that. Why? Because that person has done the work to learn what they know, and then they take the time to share it with us, to share it with us, to make it public. So stay in your lane and don't worry about other people. Those other people that you're worried about, they are in the category of access denied. Access denied. And even though they may want to come into your limited limited access or full blown access, no, you determine that. And that's easy. You determine that. You determine who has access to you. But you see, you have to see yourself as an empress. You have to see yourself as governing your life, as an empress of your life, governing who you are. You take command unapologetically. Don't be shy. Don't be embarrassed. Don't think, they may think that you are this, that, the other. It doesn't matter what people think. Think of yourself as an empress, as the governor of your life. You make decisions and you execute. Opportunities that you want, create them. Create those opportunities. How? You have the power to create. You have to know that. Don't believe it. You know that you have the power to create. How? By the thoughts that you entertain. And, some of you may need to journal. Journal your whole life. Journal. Begin to journal and write things down. If you don't have a book, there's so many journals that are online, blank apps that are where you can journal. I use a couple here. So my friend, it is up to you. You are now an adult. It is up to you to get rid of all the concepts and traditional mindset that has kept you from moving forward. This is the season to do it. Don't wait. You don't have to wait. This is your season. And start by being mindful of who you give access to, because we have interactions with people, and words and behaviors influence the way we feel, the way we talk, the way we project, and so forth. Be mindful of your access, who you are giving access to. Create access by design. Full access, limited access, access denied. And you forge ahead with your life unapologetically, not making excuses, not giving explanation, just forge ahead. And with that, my friend, I'm going to leave you with that. Create access by design so that you can forge with your life, designing the rooms, spiritually, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, socially, professionally, financially, all those areas of your life, all those rooms, you are going to start designing the way you want it. And with that, we have a date every Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here. And if you ghost me, if you can't make it, then you can watch the program 24/7 on, see the little icons in the bottom there. You can watch it on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and so forth. In the meantime, I'm going to say Tata, make this a fantastic weekend. And, but you still have Friday to go. So just know that this is the best season of your life. And it's up to you to design the life that you want for yourself, no one else. And remember, you're an adult. You are an adult now. You're no longer a child. You are now an adult. So you make decisions for yourself unapologetically. So, ta-ta, au revoir. We'll see you next week. Same time, same cloud.